Hey everyone, and welcome back to this video. This new video is part of a series on creating themes for Prestashop 1.7. By the way, probably I'm the only one who's doing this on this entire YouTube. There's nobody who's explaining how to create a theme with details, with coding and stuff like this on YouTube. So I think there's a good reason that you do subscribe and do leave a thumb up and do click on the bell. Why not? I'm just producing some valuable content. Why not to get 1 million subscribers? Well, that's a big dream, but yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm what? I'm an optimist. Yeah, I'm optimistic about that, so why not? So this video is simply about that top section, the search, that so when you click on it, you type a keyword and you search for a certain keyword and does show you results. So today we'll be customizing that and I will show you how to override the default JavaScript file of the module using file inside your theme, and how to use the new Webpack tools to override the modules JavaScript, how to define JavaScript inside your module and use callback from the TPL. So pretty funny stuff that you see timestamp here somewhere in the screen. Also, if you missed the very first episode of this course, of this series, you could see to the top right here, there's a pop-up that will tell you click me if you want to see the very first episode. I think that's a brief introduction, and now it's time to get into doing things. Tighten your belt, subscribe, and let's go. Hello everyone, and welcome back to this new episode of our series on creating a theme for Prestashop 1.7. So let me just introduce to you what we did previously. In the previous episode, we did customize this header. We changed the position of these modules, the search, and we did hide the input. So this is actually only the submit button. We placed the user account or user icon or profile, customer account actually, and also we did move the card to the side. And this is our template that we are taking as, let's say, example or template or design that we are going to adapt during this course. So before that we dive into our course, please, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and leave a good comment, thumb up the video, and let's see what we can do about it. So first of all, and today's topic will be about customizing these modules. So in the previous video I did say that I won't be working with this wish list component or modules, and I'll be focusing today on this search. So first of all, we have to add the functionality. When I do click on this loop, then I have to show that search input that is for now is simply hidden. So if I do inspect this, let me move this to the bottom here. All right, make this bigger. Alright, so by looking here and inspecting, this is the button, and this is the input that actually this is the one that we are targeting. So it has a class dnone right there that is causing this class or this element to be hidden. So by removing that dnone, there we go, we have our classic input element. Alright, so now it's time to, as I said, introduce the functionality that will allow us to add the click to show and a click to hide, right? So we have to understand how this is integrated and how the module itself does introduce this function. So here in my IDE, and today I tried to adapt using VS Code, and hopefully this will be successful idea, because previously I really struggled to make it useful with Prestashop development. So this is, as I said, our folder, our Prestashop installation folder. This is the theme, the devs folder containing all the assets. Just make sure that you did, oops, sorry, you should not be seeing that. Just make sure that you did launch the Webpack watch, that it does compile all the assets in lifetime, and you can start customizing your CSS. All right, so as I said, we have to go to a JavaScript and try to see if there is a component for that search, right? Where does this click came from. Does it really a default submit action, or does it actually represent a JavaScript callback? So here we have a type submit here, meaning that we are adopting a behavior form submit button. So now we have a button. If I click, it's still doing the role of a submit button. So the very first thing to do here is to change the type to button. This way it won't submit the form when I do click on it. So to update that, we have to go back, as I said, and sorry for the redundancies, go to template, modules under the themes directly, and search for your module. So our module is simply the search, so facet search, not that one, but actually will be picking the PS bar, and this is the template responsible of rendering that element. And right here we have the eye. Sorry, so we have this eye that is actually representing the icon, and this is the button that we are targeting here. So here, instead of submit, I will change that to button, and like this I will guarantee that my form won't be submitted by default when I click on that button, right? Because simply I did change the type to button. All right, now if I move back to my TPL file, we need to add a callback here to our button. So we imagine that we'll be having an on click, and unfortunately I did forget the syntax because recently I'm doing a lot of JavaScript front-end development and using React and Angular. So I believe it's on click. Well, now shame to search. So button add click event. Okay, this is the added event, but I believe there is another way to do that in line. So do we have a button? So everything is done through event listener. Well, on click event, I think there is a possibility to do that. This is what I'm talking about. So let me just copy that and move back to here. And this is a drawback that I do not get autocomplete from VS Code. I don't know why, but we have to define this function. So where we have to define this function, first of all, let me try to see what kind of error I'm going to get when I click on that button, and the time that I know that I don't have my function. So we run into a problem saying that my function is not defined. So let me first replace this to show search input. Okay, and I may copy that and move back to, you guess it, into our assets folder under the devs folder and CSS here, and let me collapse all this folder, and I need to go to the entry file, which is theme.js, and I am looking actually for a search module. So I'm supposing that I could find a search module, a JavaScript file, but it seems like there is no result, as you may see here. So one more step before that we could create our own search.javascript file. Let me go to the initial or the main modules folder or directory. Why I keep saying folder? The main directory of our Prestashop installation, and from there let's go to not faceted search but search bar, and here we do see that we have already a PS search bar.javascript. And here, unfortunately, they're still using jQuery, so it will be a bit of pain in the ass to deal with that. So let me search if that file is loaded somewhere into my file here. So if I do search bar, is that the name? It's search bar without the underscore, search bar.js, and we do see that is actually loaded here from the modules directly. So what I'm going to do is simply override this file using file from, you guess it, from the template. So here, instead of that, I will go to classic and modules, well, assets, JavaScript. We should have well, it seems like they removed this functionality from 1.7. How can I do that? So Okay, I remember that we can do that. Prestashop 1.7 override module JavaScript. Yes, I'm sure that it's possible to do that. So the official documentation, but we have to know exactly the structure. So overriding a template and a set, you have to modules. There we go. This is what is missing actually. So you have to go instead to the modules for this one and go ahead and search for search. Okay, not TPL, this one actually. And we will be creating a new file with the same exact name, so ps search bar, and we call that search bar.javascript. So new file, okay, and let's simply add an alert. Let's call that override working. Pretty cool. Well, doesn't really matter. Now let's refresh and see if that will be taken as effect or taken in consideration. So override working, meaning that I am now overriding correctly this file. So I go ahead and copy that, and as you may see here, this is actually a direct link to the modules folder. But if I go back here and I do inspect the source code and search for the search bar, you do see that now we are loading it from the themes folder, as you may see right here. And if I click on that, I do see my only and single alert. Now let's go ahead and paste the code that we get from the original module ps search bar.javascript. And if you remember, if you go back to this ps search bar, that we did add a callback that is show the input, something like that. So could here do quickly a const, and we call that. So here I'm using the ES6 syntax, and we be simply logging something in the console. So let's add hello from whatever, blah blah blah. All right, now let's refresh and see if this callback is working correctly. So it seems like it's okay, it's running well, no error. Now if I click, I get my message right there. And here also you do see that we did crash because we did crash this part because simply it's the same component, same modules used right here. So if I click to, I get that. So this is the search module that I have to find a solution that it does not break like that when I update this. So let's go back to our application. And here some people might wonder why not use the Webpack, a new fancy way to deal with JavaScript stuff. Well, it's possible. There's no problem in that, except one thing here. You have to make sure that you did override this, override the original module JavaScript file. So simply by leaving it empty like that and go back to your assets folder. So let me just go to themes, classic directory, _dev, JavaScript here, where we do have the entry file that is basically the theme.js, and somewhere here where we do import from the components directory, go ahead and duplicate this. Oops, what I've done. Okay, duplicate that and call this new one, call this new coming file ps, the exact same name of the module. So it will be search with an R here, search bar. Very well. Now we need to create this file, and unfortunately I cannot create it directly from here. So I can go back to components directory, click new file, and create ps _ search bar dot javascript. Don't forget the extension. And right there we have to simply paste that code as it is. But here for our function there is a little issue here. Now let me just go back to my compiler first, just to make sure that the compilation is not broken. But it's broken because something went wrong here. Let me stop it and rerun it again. Okay, so I'm using yarn here to compile, to run the scripts actually. So let me look into theme.js. Probably I broke something here. So this is actually the problem. So I will do import, and I'll be importing all what is inside the search bar. This is actually the problem. So normally everything is green. Now let me show you what I mean by we have problem with the callback. So refreshing, always try to do Control F5 because this browser nowadays really mess around with cache. So as you may see here, in cut reference error and show search input is not defined. So this is actually related to Webpack on itself. He is trying not to pollute, if we can say that, the global scope. So if we do search for this method somewhere here all around our code, then there is it, the file or the method is there, but it's scoped somewhere inside this. So if we what is the scope? You think it's called a Prestashop something. So it's not available on the global scope. In a way, if I do this, I will run into this kind of error. So one of the solution here that I'm not really a big fan of is simply to attach this callback to the window object. So here, if I go to my definition and I do window dot search input, and now if I do refresh, just give it a second, Control F5 again, and now if I click, I get my message back. So this is hello world, because now, as I said, sorry, the method is available on the global scope. Okay, elsewhere I think we have to run it like Prestashop dot something. So let me just revert back here. Sorry for this extra seconds, because it's really important that you explore everything in details, not a matter of time is free. So it's not defined here. Okay, we have to do cast here, sorry. Okay, so if I do Prestashop dot search here, is it available? No, it's not available. So actually it's a big object here containing a lot of functions, a lot of variables, a lot of things together, and I think the .prototype contain pretty much all the methods. Let me just do Prestashop dot prototype proto. Well, there you go. It's not a big deal. I just show you how to fix that problem. Now I would like to go ahead and do things. Well, I won't adapt this solution for this little example because it doesn't really need to do that. So I'll go ahead and delete this file for now. Delete, there you go, and move back to theme. Don't forget to remove it, elsewhere your compiler will go red. There we go. Now let's go back to this file, Control Z, and this is our method. So when I do click on this button, I simply have to get a reference to our input that is currently hidden and toggle its view, or toggle its view in our case would be toggling this class, right? So I will first of all try to get reference to it. So here we have this long reference that we could use. Let me see that it does not affect any other class. So here let me get rid of the denown for now, and we do see that we have an only and one class that apply to this rule. So copying that, and I move back to my function here, but instead of the function, actually I would like to define a var here, or a const that will be our class reference. So call this input or search input ref. Okay, I'm a big fan of React these days. I'm using like syntax adapted to React. So here I will do document get element. It's not a class ID actually what I have here, but it has a class. Can use query selector, and we could paste that one there. We could quickly test that in the browser if you're not sure. Go back to the console, paste that, and we have a search input ref that is actually pointing to that element. So in each time I need to call, why I did this, because each time I need to call this function, I don't need to query again the DOM. So I have a reference to that element and I could toggle whatever I want. So here I could have access to search input dot class list dot, I think there is no toggle. Oh, toggle is there. So I'll be toggling the denon class. And here I will simply, let's add the console log just for fun. Let's say class, let's make it bigger, class toggle it with success. Very well. I think success is has typo, so here I will use a background of green and I'll give it a font size of, let's say 2em. Oops, 2em. Very well. Okay, time for truth now. Refreshing and clicking, and it is working very well, people. So the toggling is working well, except with a bit of issues when it came to CSS, because the button is not correctly defined here. So I will show you a trick. So here I will revert this back to its default submit type, just to see if there is any stuff like high margin or something that we could steal from there. But by looking into this, there's nothing really, well, we cannot do anything with that property. So I'll go ahead and simply grab the background transparent, and there is no border here that could help me to customize this button. So for now I will add that, or do that in line style, and later I will define a class to that. So the background, let me add the background for now, just I want to see that height and width. So height will be 100%, don't fail me. What about height percent, whatever, good. Okay, let's set that to 42 pixel. Very well. And let's get rid of this. Bye-bye. And now the toggle is working very well, except this ugly outline. I don't really like it, and I wish that they remove it from the API of all the browsers. So I'll do outline known, and we have to add the property also to the hover, but fortunately it's working correctly as expected. Now let's go ahead and save this into our style. So how to do that? Now I have to go back to the search bar.tpl, find that button, and here I will add a class, and I'll call this toggle search. Well, this is a class, so we have to use this indentation, so period or whatever it's called, search search input. All right, and we have to go back now to our directory where we do have development assets, CSS components. Do we have search somewhere here? There you go. No, search widget. I'm not sure that this is the one. I'm not pretty sure of that. Well, that could be it actually. Do we have only search here? Let me close this. Partial, normally is about templates and variables, and all right. Well, the search. Well, if you're not sure, you can simply do this. Remove all the style, and don't forget to copy this, because we'll be refreshing the page, and let's see if that will break our template. Yes, so that was the correct file that we are modifying. So let's search for the submit here, and this is our submit. So instead of submit, I'll change this to not remove all this, but it's because we have a new class defined called toggle. Come on, toggle. Let's go ahead and copy this, because I want to show you another trick. I like it in the latest Windows version, which is simply by clicking the Windows V, and it does show you the history of your copy paste stuff, right? So we have normally everything we need now. Now if I do refresh again my page, I should see, oh, I should see the button as expected, but yep, there you go. So everything is okay. except I have to also add a new property here, which is the cursor pointer, because I need to give it like a look that way. You're going to click on something right there. Okay, let's give it a Control F5 again one more time, and there we go. We have our button with a hand over at the cursor over it. Alright, so the default search, there's nothing really fancy about it because we'll be using the default functionality, so typing the best, is yet, whatever. And we have this drop down showing the results that we could actually customize it a bit, but I just want to show you how you could customize this. So by moving a bit your cursor here, and we have to be a bit careful, just we could get this list displayed because it's really hard to show. So go inspect that and try to look here, and you will see where that list does came from. So to complete, and I think it's somewhere to the down. So this is the drop down list that is showing the list of product found related to this keyword, and it's bad because when you move away it does fade away, no problem. So you have simply to toggle this display that you could customize the colors, the font, etc. So that was how to deal with that drop down list. Okay, now I can stop this video right now because it's all about this search and the functions, and in the next video we'll be moving to other parts of this header. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please feel free to leave a good comment, to subscribe to these channels, and stay tuned because more content is coming. Peace.